Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Motivation Mondays. We have a great question for you today. What do you do when someone gets into your head? And how do you handle it? So, I'm Carol Henderson. I have Life by Design, and I want to help you to spiral up and have your life be better and better every single day. And I've got my wonderful co-host here, Miss Barbara Ellison.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Barbara Ellison, founder of Wellness Playroom for the best version of you. And the thing is, Carol and I are both pretty much saying the same things, and yet we both speak with such different voices because I truly believe that we're on a mission to just make everybody's life happier, more prosperous, more successful, because who doesn't want that? I mean, I can tell you a few people that I know they just don't even think they can be happy.
Or they're happy being unhappy.
Or they're happy being
That's their comfort zone.
Exactly. That's their comfort zone. And I know a couple of people like that. And if they're not complaining, they feel like they're not getting attention. And I think, do you think it's partly that they want attention?
Well, it's just like a toddler that acts out and does bad things because they want attention.
Yeah.
And somebody, I don't remember who I was talking to. It may have been when we were on the Diamond Queens show, but I don't remember. Somebody was talking about how that they threw a fit, and it may have been on one of our Friday morning call, but I don't remember. But threw a fit, knowing that they were throwing a fit and being bad and doing it for attention, and they were like three or four.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah. And exactly. So what are you doing, or what happens? So that's back to our question of the day. What do you do when you can see it? You can see it. They're doing it to get attention. But they're getting into your head.
Yeah, and it can be all kinds of things. And it starts with a comment.
Yeah.
A comment or something, and they say something to you, and you're like, oh, that was not expected. That was clear out of left field, especially because the history of the relationship. It's like, whoa, baby.
Where did that come from?
Yeah. And then so you start looking in your heart, and you don't want to start ticking off, well, I did this and I did this and I did this, and now you're saying this, because that's not grace. It's not kindness. But you're like, oh. And then you start working on eggshells. And then you hear something else.
You start tiptoeing around.
And the eggshell breaks. And then it starts changing your pattern, your way of doing things, your schedule. Things that you say, well, this I can do here and here. It's like, no, you have to do it before that.
Right.
It's like, okay. Then you change that schedule and you do something totally out of your, I want to say ballywick, but that's wheelhouse, out of your wheelhouse. Not that it's out of your wheelhouse to do. It's something you do often, but it changes up your schedule of what you do and where you do it.
Right. And where the priority of it is.
Yes. And then
exactly
that falls apart due to circumstances beyond your control, and you don't even get to do what
the first thing was that you were supposed to do
to fix the person in the head. And so you're back to what you originally said of, this is what I can do and when I can do it.
Right. Exactly.
And we're having
that's happening
here, so that's changing everybody's schedule. Roads are closed all over town.
Oh yeah.
Little playa lakes are overflowing all over town, and even the places, we're pretty flat in Amarillo, so the places that they dug out and made a playa lake deep are overflowing. And it's really impacting the city a great deal, and many houses are underwater.
Right.
And I don't think I've even talked about it here, but last week we had multiple thousands of cattle drowned down in
Right.
Hereford. And Hereford's like one of the biggest cattle places in the world.
Right.
And yeah, so it was like, oh,
Yeah.
big impacts, big impacts. They may not be lifelong, or long term, but cattle, that many cattle dying, watch your price of beef. Go out and get you
Right.
some today while you still can.
Yeah. I was telling a couple of people that had happened, and that was the first thing they said. Oh, brother, that means the price of beef is going to go up. And it's absolutely true, because that's the first thing when things happen, it gets into our head.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, just because something gets into our head doesn't mean that it has to take up residence there forever.
And I hadn't thought about it till my husband said, that's in your head.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. And I'm like, oh, it is.
Right. And that's exactly what happens. That it's like it stews in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts escalating, and then it goes to something else, and then it goes to something else, and goes to something else. And all of a sudden I mean, for myself, it's like, all right, Barbara, what's the matter with you? And then it's what's the matter with you that you're feeling this way? What's happening that you're out of sorts, or what's happening that you're feeling guilty or negligent or shame, or then it heaps shame on you.
Well, and then it gets,
And then you try to trace it back, and then all of a sudden you're back to the original little thing of, ooh, they just got into they got under, I call it getting under my skin.
Sometimes it's just
a little
sometimes
comment.
it's perceived. It's not even real.
Exactly. And there we are sitting here stewing in ourselves, and the other person has no clue.
Yeah. Well, that's just like unforgiveness. You're sitting there
Exactly.
guarding a jail cell, keeping somebody in jail because of what they did to you.
Yeah.
They've already gotten forgiveness from God, and they're gone, and you're sitting there
And you're so holding on to it.
Guarding an empty cell.
Yeah. And the funny part is that a friend of mine right now is going through that with her brother. Her brother has not talked to her for, don't even know. And when she goes and talks to him, it's like, what did I do? Well, you know what you did. No, I don't. And he will not bend. And so he has kept his perceived hurt in his heart for years. The thing is, it has now spilled over into other family members. Well, if that person is there, because now it's like, if she's there, he won't come. Oh, for heaven's sakes! How old are you? That's what I want to say to him. How old are you? Get it out, say what it is, see if because there's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
It's the law of polarity. There is two sides to every story. And I can remember years ago having a small altercation with my with my ex-daughter-in-law, but we now all live together. And it's just a fun situation. But anyways, I remember, and I was like, out of left field, and I went, and then I had to stop and go back and go, okay, fine, let's talk about this, because the thing is, though, that's on, and it was on me. I never went back and said, you know what, this was your perception of what happened. I never stood up for myself and said, you know what, yes, but let's talk about the two sides of it. Because at that time, I did not know about the law of polarity. Didn't know that you have to say the law of polarity. There is because to one person, like a friend of mine, It is not warm until it's 98 degrees. So she is constantly cold. Well, there's me. I'm hot at like 75 or 80.
Yeah.
It's hot. It's hot out there for me. She says, oh no, it's still so cold. We're in exactly the same day, at exactly the same weather. But for her, it's cold, and for me, it's hot. That's the law of polarity, because everybody is different. And that's what I look back now and I said, and you can't go back. I mean, it's like it's gone and over with. And yet it's still in my heart that we had that altercation without me saying, gee, well, you know what? This was my side of it.
Well, and have you
And
ever
giving her the chance to see my side of it.
Yeah, an argument with someone, they're nowhere around, and you're just in.
Yeah. And you're exactly, it's
That's
in your head.
vexation. That is the very epitome of vexation.
Yes.
Keeping it
Yes.
stirred up.
Right. And you're stirring it up within yourself.
And the more you do it, and the more you harbor it, the more
Yeah.
chance you are of having a life change that takes up residence in your heart, not just
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
moves.
Right. Exactly.
It says, out of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Right.
So you've got to, and it also says, take every thought captive.
Right.
And that's what my
Well, that's me.
saying to me yesterday. He says, get it out of your head.
Right. Right. And that's me too. It's like I have forgiven myself, and it's like, oh, it's a hill of beans now. But at the time, it really, I mean, it was, we just, and we all lived together. That's all it was like, once in a while, and that can happen. And what I think, one of the things, one day I was listening to a gal that she was talking about this. It's a relevant subject because of all the stuff that has been going on for the last years. People are in much closer circles, close, they're having to deal with it more. Anyways, and so she was talking about it, and she says the funny part is that you both feel it, both don't want to talk about it, both know it's there, it's the elephant in the room, just talk about it. And it's so often that it's pride that keeps us from doing it. Well, if they don't know what they said, then I'm not going to tell them. Oh, heavens.
But think about it. Let's go back to God and the devil. God will
Right.
say, oh, you messed up here.
Mm-hmm.
You need to correct this.
Correct it.
Devil,
Make restitution.
You screwed up. You know what you did. And you're going, what is it? What is it? And you start searching your heart. It's like, you know what you did. You just need to quit doing that. You need to, and so then the guilt piles on. And
right.
And it piles on more, and you're going, and then next thing you're down under this burden.
Right.
Even your burden to carry.
It's not right.
Because he just keeps piling the guilt and the condemnation on you. And God will say, hey, there's a little spot on your shirt here. Let's clean it off.
Yeah.
A huge difference. Right. That, oh, you look awful. There's something wrong with you. Well, what is it? Well, I'm not going to tell you. You should know.
Right.
You're like,
or that, well, okay, it must be because I did that 2 years ago, or I did that 10 years ago, or I did that when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
All of the things, and those things are all in the past. You cannot change the past.
But you can get forgiveness for
it. But you can get, exactly. You can have forgiveness for it.
Forgiveness for it. Get it out of your head, get it out of your heart if it's gotten down there, and go on with a happy life, which is what we do here, is talk to you about designing your life and about having
being happy. Because here's a little life lesson for me. If you have done, because we all have, we're all talking to the choir.
No, Barbara, it's just you.
Yes. Exactly. But if you have done something, fess up, take the heat for it, but then go on. but what if so-and-so finds out? Well, you know what? So, well, if they do, fess up, take the heat, and then go on.
And
Because
sometimes,
we've all done it.
yeah, sometimes you don't even, it is
Yeah.
not even the intent of your heart.
Right,
It's just,
exactly.
you know,
Things just,
like
the
due to
words,
history, due to relationship history, you think, oh, that'll be fine. They won't mind.
yeah,
And then it comes out and you're going, oh,
right. And sometimes it's not even the words that you say, it's how it's said. Because sometimes you can look at somebody and say, well, that was pretty stupid, and it's said in fun and it's all right.
they
But
take it.
sometimes, and they take it that way and it just goes, yeah, oh, I know. I kind of blew that one and it's just gone. Or, I mean, depending on, well, Carol, seriously, how could you have been so stupid? And it's how it's said.
Well, and let's go to an even more personal thing.
Yeah,
We do podcasts, we do shows,
yeah,
we do Zoom parties, and the first one that we did it kind of as it wasn't a corporate event, but we did it and included everybody and wanted everybody included. So we never even said we are the hosts of it.
right,
We talked about the speaker, we
right.
talked about gifts, we talked about, and after we were off, Barbara goes, we never mentioned, and it hurt her heart.
Yeah,
And that was never my intention.
yeah,
Mine was to downplay our roles,
right.
and it was a little hectic.
It was.
Oh my goodness. It was
Oh,
a
brother.
circus because we had so many moving parts and it was
Parts, so many
the first
moving
time,
parts.
and the person
Exactly.
that was going to do all the gifts, just by the goodness of her heart, but she couldn't get in. She couldn't get
Yeah.
on the internet. She couldn't get in. And so she's in a restaurant and we can't
Yeah.
hear the
We could, oh, it
on
was funny.
the
Yeah.
other side. It was crazy.
Yeah. And this is all the backstory, the backstory of that things happen,
Yeah.
that
And
things
then
happen.
the whole event did not go quite the way we had
Envisioned it.
planned and in purpose. And so anyway, and she got her feelings hurt,
Yeah.
I had to apologize. She had to have some time to internalize and realize
Yep.
that life would go on. And
Exactly. The thing is,
everybody knows it's our party that we do, but
yeah.
no.
But the thing is if you get your feelings hurt, this is one of the things that I have learned and that I work with my clients with, is if you have gotten your feelings hurt, okay, they're your feelings. The other person might not be feeling your feelings, and they don't, and they don't know. And then, so it was like, okay, I have learned that if I am dealt with that, those are my feelings. Hey, you know what? This is how I felt about this situation, not about Carol herself, but about the situation. This is how I felt. And this was the feeling that it invoked in me. That was my personal feeling. And she was like, well, I did, and it was exactly, I know that. But if you don't know that that's what I was feeling, it would put a strain on, because it would come up to bite you later.
People don't verbalize it. And so instead of us talking briefly, very briefly.
Yeah, there was a 2 minute.
Very briefly about it and getting it out there. She could have let it totally ruin our relationship.
Yeah.
The devil could have told her, oh, Carol did that on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, she just was out to get you. Yeah, and Barbara,
exactly.
That's not true, but in that emotional upheaval,
right,
you tend to believe some lies sometimes.
Exactly.
So,
and then it festers.
Getting it out there, yes, getting it out there, getting it done, getting forgiveness on all sides.
Yeah, and now we can laugh about it.
Yeah. And so
we laugh about it.
Yeah, this leads into what she was saying we're going to do next week. We sit here and we give you ideas and we tell you things and we bring great people on to interview, but we work on ourselves too.
Exactly.
It's not always a pretty picture, and we're pretty transparent about that.
Yeah.
Or however, we're going to start talking a little bit more about that next week, about intentions and,
Yeah.
how you can, where the rubber meets the road on
Right.
your
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. Because one of the things that I was, like we're constant, Carol and I are both constantly reading. And this morning, I was reading an article on mindfulness and meditation. And it was like, well, doesn't everybody know the difference between mindfulness and meditation? Guess what? No, they don't. Because this is something that we have dealt with for years, of being mindful of what's going on around you. But meditation is something, such a personal practice. It helps you to get mindful, but meditation is not mindfulness. It's part of it, because they complement each other. And that's what Carol and I, we were talking about in the pre-show. I said, I'm just reading this article. And I was like, doesn't everybody know that there's a difference between, and it's like, yeah, no, they don't. No, they don't. Because they're not in the space. It's like, I know once in a while, my son is a computer absolute whiz. He's a super hacker. He is a computer whiz. He gets together with his friends, and I am absolutely clueless. It is like they are speaking a foreign language. Okay. And that's what happens to people. One person starts a conversation about something. The other person has no idea what they're talking about or the intention behind it, doesn't say anything. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, remember that time that you did that? Well, yeah, no, what? Where did that come from? And that's exactly what happens when you let people get into your head without acknowledging that they're number one, you let them in, because nobody can come into your head without your permission.
And also, this can happen to people whether they're alive or dead. So
Yeah.
you can't always go to the other person. I
Right.
mean, okay, let's take an extreme situation.
Yeah.
And it's out in the news all over the place now. Someone who was trafficked as a child.
Right.
Well, they were deeply hurt. They put all kinds of thoughts and stuff all around all this. The person is gone on, is dead, is out of their life. They can't contact them to try to rectify it. And probably not always a good idea.
It wouldn't be a good idea to do it anyways.
To rectify it. So you can still get forgiveness. You can still clean out your heart and your head. An example, I was in a pre-interview with a woman that I met. Things were going great. She wanted us to work with some of her clients and such as that. And then when I said, I want to make clear, we're very open on our shows about Jesus and about, how things can be improved if you know him. And we don't make any bones about that. She goes, oh, okay. I cannot work with y'all. I mean, total stop. I said, oh, okay. She said, you have to realize I was trafficked by a preacher when I was a little kid. He says, I won't have anything to do with the church. Well, God's in the process of healing a lot of those hurts for a lot of people, and he will win. Okay, he will win. Yeah. But in the meantime, she can't deal with that because that's a hurt in her heart, and it's going to take God to go dig that one out because that and I think it was multiple.
Yeah.
Multiple preachers, multiple times. I don't know the whole story. She did not go into it, although she is open about it because that's her ministry.
Because that's her
to people who have been
who've been that she talks about to the people who have been a victim. And so if right at this moment, if somebody's in your head, either let them know, or if you can't let them know, then let somebody else stand in the gap for them and just because sometimes if you can just verbalize it,
Yeah.
and I can remember saying to Carol, I am feeling this right now. I have just got to get it out of my body.
Yeah. You
I
have,
have
you,
got
yeah,
to
you
get it
have
out
to
of my
do
body.
it. And I have sat in proxy before in ministry sessions as
Yeah.
a parent, or, you
Yeah.
know, and stuff. And Keith has as a dad, and, you know, and just prayed with somebody and stood in there and just asked for forgiveness for that person. So if, you know, if it is a situation where it would be harmful for you to talk to them, don't go do that.
No.
Call up, we can help.
Yeah.
We walk this walk with people. So that I do want to leave that, since we kind of opened up that can of worms. Do get a hold of us if you have a situation.
If you just want to talk about something, and if you have that feeling that, oh, I've just got to get rid of this,
Mm-hmm.
let it go, because sometimes we just need somebody else to be a sounding board.
Yeah.
And not to give judgment, or not to give, but just to get to just literally verbally vomit on somebody else that has no stake in the game, who has no skin in the game.
Yeah. That's
Just
not
get
gonna
it.
get up and go, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's get rid of that. We don't want that. We don't want that around us. And there's my alarm that's going off because it's almost time. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
we've got to go.
Okay.
So, love y'all. Be motivated. Remember, circle up. If you're watching this on Facebook, be sure to like, share, tell your friends about us. And if it's on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, ring the little bell so you know when we have a new episode coming up, and send it out to your friends. So, bye, y'all.